Greetings! This is Goku Fivel here for yet another edition of Volcano Me. You know, when I left for my trip for Las Vegas, this became a huge news story while I was over there. And when I came back from my trip from Las Vegas, this has still been the #1 news story for the last 3 weeks. And to be quite frank with you, I really did not want to even do a Volcano Me on this issue, since it's already been very alienating and very upsetting, and it's been all over the place, but I can't ignore it anymore. I gotta put in my 2 cents on this issue. It's really irritating me and it's upsetting me about the Rush Limbaugh calling Sandra Fluke a slut. And then Sandra Fluke turning around. And then, oh gosh, where do I even begin with this? Alright, first of all, I am mad at all 3 parties for this, okay? I'm pissed, actually. I am mad at the media that this has been the #1 news story for the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks! Rush Limbaugh called someone a slut. Oh, mercy me! We're not... First of all, have you heard his show? Like, this is really that shocking? He said far worse things over the course, but I'll come back to that in just a minute here. I'm not agreeing with what he said or what happened. But there was a tornado outbreak in Indiana. You have Assad in Syria slaughtering and shooting his own people in Syria. We have a $15 trillion deficit, $4 to $5 gallon gasoline. But we're going to talk about for the last 3 weeks, Rush Limbaugh called someone a name. Oh, and by the way, Rush apologized, but this is still the #1 news story for the last 3 weeks. Not more important or pressing issues. This and contraception and condoms and all that jazz. And even the presidential candidates and the president himself have put in their own 2 cents. Well, there's far more important issues going on. First, a little backstory. Alright, as you know, 2 years ago, the president's health care bill was passed, aka Obamacare. Obamacare was 2,400 pages long. Not one congressman read the whole thing from beginning to end. I already did a previous Volcano Me on that 2 years ago. Now, Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House at the time, said that we have to pass the bill to find out what's in it. How right she was. 3 months ago, it was discovered something new was in the bill that no one paid attention to. It was required that even religions had to subsidize or pay for contraceptions and maybe even abortions. Naturally, religious institutions were pissed, more particularly in this case, the Catholic Church screamed foul. Last January, the Republican presidential candidates jumped on this and piled on top of this like the Pittsburgh Steelers defense jumping on an offense guy who had the ball down or something like that. They just took this issue and ran with it, and this has been the #1 political topic for the last 3 months. The Catholic Church screamed foul, saying that it violated their First Amendment. As you know, religions are tax exempt, and it is also a rule that the government cannot force a religion to do something against their beliefs, and so on. So they scream, well, wait a minute, our religion believes that contraception counts as abortion. Really? The condom counts as abortion? And birth control pills count as abortion? Does masturbation count as abortion too? Well, in that case, for all the hentai movies I've watched, I guess I must have... But that's not... Alright, but fine, that's their belief system. Republicans piled on this, even saying, we are all Catholics now. Really? Well, I'm not a Catholic, so what do you say to the voters who aren't Catholic and who really don't understand? But it's not that you made this really a Catholic issue. All religions were supposed to be involved in this. Then enter Sandra Fluke. A college student goes to Georgetown. She testified before Congress in support of this rule, saying that not only this, but she even thinks that the government should subsidize and give free birth control pills and free contraceptions to college students and to anybody who asks for them. The next day, apparently this is while I was on vacation in Las Vegas, Rush Limbaugh called the college student to testify before Congress a slut for wanting, since, oh, you want the government to pay for your sex life? Well, you're a slut. The next day, the media pounced on Rush, called him a sexist, called him everything under the sun, which probably rightfully so, which also goes with that, right? 1 week later, Rush apologized, but get a load of this, the media still went on board, pouncing on Rush, pouncing on everybody, and then now we started fighting it, and then the Democrats announced that there was a war on women! That you are demanding that women's rights be erased, and women will go back to the 1950s of being slaves in the household, ball and chain to the kitchen, and they'll have to be pregnant and never get a career, all because the government won't give them free birth control pills. Are you freaking kidding me? Alright, I am pissed off at everybody here. I'm mad at Rush for calling her a slut. That was unprofessional, unnecessary, and I was even more mad at Rush for bringing up this issue. And first of all, you think that's the most shocking thing he said? Rush Limbaugh called the President of the United States Barack the Magic N-word. And I'm not going to finish what he said. In fact, he said that twice! He said it again a couple of weeks ago. That's okay, you can get with that. Rush says, I don't like Arab people flying, that's too much of a concern. That's okay. Rush says another controversial thing. That's okay. Rush calls the president Barack the Magic N-word. That's okay. Rush calls someone a slut. Oh, he go too far. Take him off the air. I'm not happy with this Sandra Fluke person, the lady who testified before Congress. And by the way, since there was all this controversy over her testimony on C-SPAN, I decided to watch her speech on C-SPAN and come to my own conclusions. Now, I will say this, Sandra Fluke, with all due respect, you know, since criticizing you or even disagreeing with her makes anybody a chauvinist pig or whatever, and that because the feminist movement has taken her and made her the poster child of the whole movement and attacking or criticizing Sandra Fluke and an attack on all women. What, I'm not allowed to disagree with this lady? Hold on. She thinks that the government and insurance companies should give free contraceptions and free condoms and free... Wow, where do we begin? We have a $15 trillion deficit, Miss Fluke, and you want to add that to the debt? Condoms aren't that expensive. In fact, they're pretty damn cheap. As well, what about birth control pills? Those are expensive and us poor college students can't afford them. First of all, I did some research on Miss Fluke. She's not as young as the media says she was. They keep saying, poor college student Sandra Fluke, she's starving and she's eating ramen and she doesn't... Hold on. You know how old she is? She's 30. She's older than me. And she can't afford to pay for her own birth control pills? When I got back from my vacation in Vegas, I got sick. I really did. I got really sick. Guess who had to pay for his medicine? Yo! When I was in college, guess who paid for his medicine? Yo! If I got lucky, guess who paid for his own condoms? Yo! Oh, another question. Another thing. All right, here's 3 questions I have for Miss Fluke. All right? If I was Rush, with all due respect, I have 3 questions for Miss Fluke. Question 1. You can afford to go to Georgetown and Harvard and all these East Coast colleges. You go to Georgetown. If you can afford to go to Georgetown, how the hell can you not afford to pay for your own birth control? Okay? It's not exactly a community college. Question number 2. Don't you think there's far more important things in healthcare that should be covered and subsidized, like antibiotics and flu shots and morphine and medicine for patients who are in the emergency room? You know, when I thought of health care, when I heard that the health care bill passed, first thing I thought of, well, what's going to happen to me if I ever go to the hospital, if I get hit by a number 6 bus or so on? How does this affect me if I go to see my doctor and so on? Apparently the first thing Democrats thought of was, ooh, do we get some free sex pills out of this? How are you going to explain this to someone who's in the hospital? Sorry, cancer patient, no free pills for you because we got to give some free stuff to the college students. Oh my gosh, really? You're going to fund this? Sorry, but I'll be for the government insurance companies subsidizing antibiotics, flu shots, morphine, medicine that saves lives long before we afford to fund the fun stuff. And question number 3 from Miss Fluke. You want to add this to our $15 trillion bill? Who's paying for this? Who's paying for your the free stuff and so on? Now, what Rush said was wrong. What Rush said, oh, if we're paying for it, we demand a sex tape. That's gross. By the way, I have a message for Rush Limbaugh. I guess he called Miss Fluke a slut because she's a college student who has apparently a lot of sex in college. Hey Rush, newsflash, college students have lots and lots of sex. I guess you're Fort last to get the memo on this. But wait, then there's the most precedented law. The Republican presidential candidates have just jumped on this, just pounced on this, especially presidential candidate Rick Santorum, who's really pounced on this, saying, oh, this is so horrible, and contraceptions, they are on having sex in college before marriage. Shame on you, college students. Wag of the finger for you. And then some of them are even going so far to say that maybe we should even ban contraceptions. Congratulations, you've just lost the women's vote. Women's vote, gone. College vote, gone. Where'd I go, GOP? You want to just forfeit the election right now? Want to just tell Obama to go on vacation? Don't bother coming back till November because he's going to get re-election anyway? Obama, go ahead and prepare your Republicans. You could have been talking about the $15 trillion deficit. You could have been talking about the economy. You could have been talking about $5 a gallon gas prices. You could have been talking about the precedent manner in Iran. You could have been talking about Syria. You could have been talking about jobs. But no, you decided to just jump on this contraception thing like crazy for the last 3 months. That's all I've been hearing for the Republican presidential candidates, except one. You want to hear something funny? One of the presidential candidates actually has told his fellow presidential candidates to shut up about this issue. You know who that was? Ron Paul. Yeah. The crazy presidential candidate. Ron Paul, the crazy one. He told his fellow presidential candidates, guys, don't we have 4 more important issues to talk about than this? Seriously, that's all I've been talking about for the last 3 weeks and the last 3 months. My guess for why the GOP is doing this is because they think they can buy the Catholic vote. I guess the Catholics have been voting Democratic ever since JFK, since Kennedy was the world's famous Catholic, even though he wasn't that good a practicer. That was also a breaking news story recently. Did you hear? More mistresses of Kennedy have come forward, including one who was in a oral sex party. We'll leave it at that. But the Republicans see, ooh, now's our chance to take the Catholic vote away from the Democrats. Okay, you gained the Catholic vote, but you lost the women's vote. And another thing, you're looking like hypocrites. What has been the big Republican message for the last 3 years? Government, get out of our way. Government is involved in our lives too much and government needs to get out of our way. And you know what? That was resonating with people. That was even resonating with some young people. I even did a Volcano meet about a year ago. Remember I told you the government was shutting down lemonade stands? And it's Girl Scout cookie season. Several local governments have shut down Girl Scout cookies because they didn't have a government license for business and they didn't pay their taxes when they sold those Girl Scout cookies. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs stole billions and trillions of dollars from their fellow investors, and they get away with it. Meanwhile, people on Wall Street are stealing billions, but you caught that girl with Girl Scout cookies in a lemonade stand without a license. Good for you, government. So no, you're saying that the government was intruding on our lives too much, that was resonating, and then the next minute you're saying that the government should clamp down on people's sex lives. So congratulations, you now look inconsistent. My advice to the GOP, I have 2 pieces of advice for the GOP. A, drop it. Drop this stupid subject. I don't care about gay marriage or contraceptions or what the hell people do in their bedroom. Talk about the $15 trillion deficit and admit that you were wrong too. You should say this. Yes, Bush gave us the first $7 trillion of this debt. Totally our bad. But Obama doubled down on it and made it $15 trillion. You should point that out. 2, stand up to Rush Limbaugh. Rush thrives on the fact that he gets to be a bully to you too. You need to stand up to him. Grow a pair of balls and stand up to him and say, you know what, Rush? Piss off. You don't speak for our damn party. What are you going to do? Tell your audience to go vote for someone else? Ugh, I am so sick of this issue. And again, Sandra Fluke. I don't feel sorry for her for 2 reasons. A, she's set for life. Rush Limbaugh's the best thing to ever happen to Sandra Fluke. She's going to get book deals, TV deals. You know what? She's probably going to run for office for this. She's rich and famous. A month ago, nobody knew who Sandra Fluke was. But now, thanks to Rush, she's famous. This has been Volcano Me.